Welcome to The Shift presented by ETH Insights.
India is on a path of significant expansion when it comes to infrastructure and development, right? Private players as well as government is relentlessly working on that. To talk about that, my guest today is Ms. Vidya Basarkod. She is the Managing Director with Ramboll India, an organization which was founded in Denmark and has a presence in about 35 countries.
Right.
They are one of the primary organizations which are consulting to the government as well as to the private players, and there are some really interesting projects that they are onto, and that is the balancing between sustainable development as well as this rapid expansion, especially given the fact that there is a rapid urbanization happening right now. So how do you go about that, and would you be able to talk to us about certain projects that really exemplify this?
Yeah, thank you also for having me here. Very pleased to take these questions because they are very relevant to what Ramboll does as an engineering and consultancy firm spread across the world. So our role has become very critical because of the sustainability aspect that the whole planet is facing. And in India, having 1/3 of the population, becomes very important on how we contribute to our clients' green transition, sustainability journeys. And we have our stated objective as a company to be sustainability champions and partners for sustainable change. Some of the examples that I can take from India and also later on internationally, where our audience can connect because they are all public infrastructure projects. One of them is the new Noida International Airport that we are advising Zurich Airport as well as Tata Projects, who are the client and the contractor. We prepared what is called a net zero emission plan. Okay. You will appreciate that airports are huge energy intensive assets. So it becomes very important for advising an airport operator on what is the life cycle cost in carbon terms, in emission terms, and how do we control that right from the concept and the construction, and then of course the operation, so that your asset right from the beginning is carbon neutral. It's not adding to the emissions of the region. Second example I would like to take is the Atal Setu. We were the advisors for Tata Deu combination of contractors, and there the biodiversity of the whole project site, because it's on a coastal region abutting a lot of these sensitive biodiversity areas where flamingos fly in and nest. So we had to take a lot of precautions on how we let them be without any disturbance during the construction also, because of the noise or the equipments that are coming or the heat that is generated because of construction, etc. So that was one challenging project that we handled, and going forward, of course, we will monitor that. We will see that whatever we advise to the client comes true. The third project is again one of the iconic projects that we have advised, L&T. This is the Mumbai Coastal Road. Okay. Where you can appreciate how the traffic congestion is taken care of, how the fuel emissions, because you are saving so much of time and fuel, etc. So we go right down to the heart of the problem in terms of sustainability, and see that, okay, the population is increasing, the urban density is increasing, but you can't stop development, right? You can't stop the economy from growing.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, you have to be also very, very sensitive about the challenges that the planet is facing in terms of global warming. So we bring these kind of solutions to every project that we deliver, every client that we advise, and also build our own expertise, because it's very important that we demonstrate that our engineering solutions are climate resilient, they respond to the climate changes. So we have to also upskill our people in terms of what are the challenges of engineering that are coming tomorrow, and how do we face them, because most of our projects earlier used to be based on the past trend. For example, if I am building a bridge, I would see what is the rainfall in that region for the last 100 years, what are the precipitation levels, and how much of water comes into the river after the rainy season, etc. But now, because of the global warming, everything is so unpredictable. You can't really predict what would be the rainfall in this region, whether it would rain, whether it would flood. It's completely unpredictable. That is exactly where we are building a lot of relationships with institutions, with research institutions, with academic institutions, to put our brains together and upskill and get those new skills on board in Ramboll, and go and advise our clients on how we can build resilient infrastructure. So that's how we are balancing the urban growth on one hand and providing resilient green infrastructure to the clients on the other hand.
Perfect. Vidya, you also mentioned about working with different partners and different players, collaborating with them to kind of give the best advice to your client. Speaking of something similar, I think we've been hearing a lot about public-private partnership and the benefits that it is bringing in, while the government has its own regulations and are tied by those. The private players have a lot more autonomy and a lot more pace at which it works. We understand this model, in a nutshell, but it'll be really great to hear from you the kind of benefits that this model really brings in. And if you could also, again, like you gave the example of the Noida airport that is coming in, or the Atal Setu that has come in, are there any stellar examples for our audiences to know how the PPP model has really worked, and maybe we'll also understand from there if there has been a push on greener infrastructure from there as well.
Yeah, okay. So again, this question can be addressed with the help of one or two examples, because then it becomes clear how successful the public-private partnerships have been in India. When we started off on this journey in 2004-05 in India, I'm referring to the airports privatization. Okay. Earlier, all our airports used to be operated by Airports Authority of India. And then the government thought, why don't we also draw in the private expertise, the efficiency that private sector has, and showcase partnerships on how a public infrastructure asset can be run in partnership. So, of course, we didn't have experience of such huge projects and operating them as a private asset. But then I think a lot of international expertise came in terms of consultancy, in terms of putting together policy, in terms of drawing different stakeholders, and how to build confidence that yes, a private player can bring in that expertise and run an operation, a public infrastructure operation like an airport in a very profitable way, because private investors come in for profit.
Absolutely.
And public players come in for the social good of the community. So we brought these two interests together. I will take the example of Mumbai and Delhi international airports, and there was this huge tender process. It was a completely transparent bidding process. Of course, all of us, consultants, operators, the government agencies, regulators, we all learnt on the job, and it was a very dynamic process so that we could fine-tune all our inputs in such a way that we showcase a great example of public-private partnerships.
Right.
And I think both Mumbai and Delhi airports have really proved that the government took a right decision at the right time, and the private players have come up to the expectation. When I say private players, not only the operators, the consultants, the contractors, the developers, regulators, all of them have really proved that this is a successful model, that we can replicate that to other sectors as well.
Right. And Vidya, we've all experienced the airports. The new Bangalore airport is really nice and it meets the global standards. The Mumbai airport is absolutely stellar when it comes to the experience of the visitors there. Having understood the success stories and having experienced the success stories, obviously we understand that when a partnership model happens anywhere, there are certain friction or certain challenges that we all observe, and I think we all learn from it, make better, and then improve on it. Development is one such sector where obviously the success stories come up in equal proportion as the challenges.
Right.
What are some of the challenges that you have seen that our audience can benefit from?
One or two challenges that I encountered in this, because I was involved in all these projects, is that there is not enough planning, in the initial stages. Either because you don't know, what are the challenges coming downstream, or you do not have enough patience right in the beginning because you are so enthused with the idea, you just want to jump into the project and start doing things. So planning is something I think we need to focus more and more, drawing on the experiences of so many successful projects. Now we know what to anticipate, what can we expect, so, after a certain time down the line. That's one thing. And that planning will help you in the predictable delivery that most of my clients are very keen on. Predictable delivery in terms of quality, in terms of time, in terms of budget, etc. So that takes care of most of your challenges.
Right.
Secondly, which now we are facing more and more, is qualified, skilled engineers who believe in the profession. Okay, because nowadays there are so many professions that have opened up for youngsters, and civil engineering and construction is quite tough, because you have to be there on the ground to build that airport or that bridge or that road.
Wearing that cap and a hat.
Yeah, so it's very difficult. Plus there's so much of expectation from the public that we will get great infrastructure. So combining the expectations, the demand of the hard work, and upskilling yourself every quite often is a challenge that we are facing, because ours is a service industry completely based on people, on the skills of people that are brought to the table. So like I mentioned earlier, we have strong relationships with research institutions, with academic institutions, universities. We meet a lot of students, giving them this picture that because the country has ambitions to become a developed country in 2047, which means that a lot of quality infrastructure has to be built. So the civil engineering and the construction industry is going to be at the heart of this whole big plan of Vikasit Bharat.
Right.
So I see that more and more engineers have started believing in nation building, in how they can contribute to what they have learned, to the society and community, and that itself is very heartening. So if you have a challenge, you have a solution as well.
As well, yeah. And very rightly pointed out. In fact, I was looking at it from a very generic office environment as well. I mean, if your planning is not right, then down the line, and I think infrastructure projects take huge amount of time to be completed. Maybe a delivery is after maybe 20 years, 25 years, and if the planning is not right, the changes that are happening at the government level, at the policy level, will have an impact on the final delivery, and then eventually it all passes on to the normal citizen who is supposed to be the beneficiary. So absolutely, and obviously when you don't have the right skills into people who are delivering this project, then all of that planning will be of no use. So very, very valid points. Absolutely pleasure to hear all of this, and thank you so much for letting us know. Thank you for spending time with us.
I have enjoyed talking to you.
Pleasure being
Thank you.
with you. Thank you.